This year has been one of the more challenging ones over the course of my 15 years of homeschooling when it comes to choosing homeschool curriculum. And that's because we are switching from what was working really well for us to something different just because of finances. Now, I have switched curriculum in years past. Sometimes I've switched things because something wasn't working and I'm looking for something that could work better for us. But this is one of those years where I'm going from what was working and changing things up a whole lot to make them fit within our budget. And I shared more about that in a video that I did on reasons behind my curriculum choices. I will link that video down below if you haven't seen it already. Now, if you watched my kindergarten choice video in particular, you probably picked up on the fact that I wasn't quite sold on the curriculum choices that I had made for kindergarten. In that video, I shared with you Plan A, Plan B. I think I was on Plan C at the time, telling you I might be moving to Plan D and possibly even Plan E. So that is one of the big changes that we are making is with kindergarten curriculum. I've also got two other changes that we are doing and making to our curriculum choices for this upcoming school year. So I'm going to share those three changes with you. The one grade level that is not changing at all is my 9th grader. We are really happy with what she is going to be doing, and so there is no need for any changes there. The first change that I want to share with you is with my 7th grader, and I'm actually not changing any of the curriculum that I shared with you in my 7th grade curriculum choice video. We are just adding something else in. And this came about because my 7th grader came to me and kind of reminded me of something that I had forgotten, and that is that she didn't remember how to type very well. And we were now getting into the middle school years and eventually high school, where she was going to be transitioning from handwriting out most of her papers to eventually typing out most of her papers and reports. So I just went ahead and tried out typing.com. I believe that is what it's called. It's just a free online typing program. If I got that wrong, I'll leave a link either way down below to it. But I found that online and I thought this looks like a great program. I signed myself up and got my own account and just been working through it to make sure that I think it would be something good for my 7th grader. And I am actually really, really happy with the program itself and how it teaches typing. I think it does a great job of that. My one concern with that program is that it's free. And so that means that there are ads popping up on the sides of the program. And I always worry about ads popping up because you never know what might pop up in front of your children's eyes. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on that. For now, that's what we're going to use because it's free and that fits into our budget really, really well. But I'll keep you posted. If you've used typing.com before, let me know what you liked, didn't like about it. If you thought it was a good program, we're just kind of getting familiar with it right now. My other concern really with any kind of secular thing that we're using is just what content is going to be in there. So what sentences and paragraphs is she going to eventually be typing? And so I'll keep an eye on that as well. But for now, I'm really happy with it. I've worked through many of the different stages of the program myself and haven't seen any issues besides those pesky ads popping up. The second change that I wanted to share with you about is for my 3rd and 5th grader for English. And if you watched my 3rd grade and 5th grade curriculum choice video, you would have seen that for English, we were just gonna finish up using what we were doing last year, which was BJU Press distance learning. And I knew that I had skipped a couple lessons. We didn't quite get to the end of the book or the program for both of my kids. So I just thought, well, you know what? We already have it. We're trying to stay within a very limited budget. So we'll just finish up what we didn't finish up and what we skipped this next year. And honestly, that would have been a great plan, except when I went to go start planning, I realized they didn't really have much left to do. The things that we skipped were really things that they already knew, and that's why we skipped them. And I don't know why that just didn't dawn on me before, but you know, it didn't. So I looked back and I went, there really isn't much in here that they really need to do. And my 5th grader had a little bit more that he could have finished up in his, so I thought, well, maybe I'll just keep having him work through that. But my 3rd grader really didn't need to be doing the BJU English. I would have loved to move her into the BJU English for 3rd grade, but we didn't have the money to do the distance learning for that. So what I did was I went back to my curriculum tub bins full of curriculum from over 15 years of homeschooling, and I pulled out Fix-It Grammar, the Nose Tree. And honestly, when I picked that curriculum up, I just started having all these fond memories of using it years ago with some of my older children, and how much fun we had with it and how much fun I had teaching it. And I started getting really excited because I'm like, I really liked teaching this curriculum. It was a lot of fun. And so I got excited about teaching it to my up and coming 3rd grader. Well, then when you start planning and thinking about what the schedule's going to look like, I thought, I just don't know if I'm going to have the time with all the other things that I'm teaching to my kids, because we are moving away from doing almost all BJU Press distance learning because we just couldn't afford it, moving to a lot of stuff that I'm teaching. I thought, if I'm already doing a lot of teaching for all the grades, I don't know that I want to take on Fix-It Grammar for my 3rd grader and still be helping my 5th grader with his English, because he would have been wrapped up with BJU Press, the distance learning English, probably within a month or so, and moved into what we had on hand, which was Language Lessons for a Living Education from Master Books. And I thought, well, he still kind of needs help with that. I don't think I could juggle 2. So I took some time to think about it and pray about it, and I just thought, you know what? Why am I going to do 2 separate things? They both can do Fix-It Grammar together, and I can teach it. And so, 2 of the things that I think make a huge difference in the success of my homeschool over the last 15 years is, 1, thinking about and making sure I have curriculum that I can implement. And number 2, that really makes a big difference, is if I like the curriculum and I enjoy implementing the curriculum. Because honestly, if my kids don't really like the curriculum, but I'm excited and motivated about it, they kind of catch on to that. But if my kids love a curriculum and I hate it and I'm just dreading it and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, we have to do this today, they pick up on that. And as much as they love something, they realize Mom hates this, and it kind of rubs off on them. And so I went, you know what? I can implement Fix-It Grammar, the Nose Tree, if I'm doing it with my 3rd and 5th grader together. I love teaching it, so this is a win-win. So we're just not doing BJU Press distance learning. We're not going to finish up from last year because we pretty much had finished it up. My 5th grader is not going to be moving into Language Lessons for a Living Education. We are just going to do Fix-It Grammar, the Nose Tree together, and I am super excited about that. Now, one of the things that is kind of missing here in not doing the BJU English and not using the Language Lessons for a Living Education is that we really don't have writing in there. The Nose Tree, the Fix-It Grammar Nose Tree will cover grammar, but doesn't really cover writing, although they are getting some kind of introduction to good writing, just because they are going to be writing. If you're not familiar with Fix-It Grammar, they will be writing the entire Nose Tree story. And so when you're copying good writing, you're kind of learning the mechanisms of good writing a little bit. But we're not we didn't have a writing curriculum. So I went back to my tub and dug around, and I realized I had the Institute for Excellence in Writing, so IEW, their student intensive for level A. And I thought, you know what? I can implement that on a very limited basis throughout this next year. So I think that's what we'll do. If we never get to it, I'm okay, because my goals for my individual kids this year and for our family did not include writing. Not that I didn't want to get to writing for anybody, but that was not the priority. The priority for each child was different. I have different priorities for each kid, and writing wasn't one of them this year. And so having those goals, if you did not watch my video on the importance of setting goals, yearly goals for each individual kid and for your family, go watch that video. I will link to it down below. But having those goals already laid out for each of my kids really helped me to go, okay, you know what? It's okay. It is okay if I don't have a set writing curriculum. We'll get to the IEW when we can, And you know what? The following school year, writing will probably be made a priority. But right now, that wasn't one of the priorities. For a lot of my kids, for the younger ones, it really is reading, comprehension, and math, and focusing on grammar. So we're going to use Fix-It Grammar for 3rd and 5th grade. That is the kind of change that we're making. The third change that we are making is really the biggest one that has brought me the most kind of peace and calm, and just decreased my anxiety about homeschooling next year and increased my excitement about homeschooling next year. And that is for kindergarten. Getting rid of Abeka K5 completely. We're not going to be doing any Abeka curriculum, and instead switching over to something else. And so if you, like I said, if you have not gone and watched my kindergarten choice video, go watch it, and you'll probably pick up on kind of how stressed I was about that, and just not feeling comfortable with the choices that I had and all of that. And so we started using that K5 curriculum towards the end of last year, and been doing it a little bit over the summer. And while my kindergartner has enjoyed it in the sense that he's just super excited really to do any curriculum and any homeschool with me. He's just excited to be an official, homeschool kid with the rest of his siblings. I think he would have enjoyed anything for a short amount of time. But the joy of it was starting to wear off for him. But more importantly, I was not liking it at all. It was not working for me, and it did not meet the goals that I had for my kindergartner. And I'm going to do a whole separate video on kind of why Abeka didn't work for me in general, why Abeka doesn't work for me, and why BJU Press works so much better for me. And this is not to say Abeka's a bad curriculum. That video is not going to be about bashing Abeka. It's just, for me personally, what I need and what my goals are for my family, BJU fits that so much more. That's going to be a separate video. But again, some of you might watch that video that'll come out in a couple days and go, oh, well, all the things Janelle is saying that she doesn't want in a curriculum, that is what I want. And then maybe Abeka will be the better fit for you. But for me, it just wasn't. And so I actually sat down with my husband kind of on the verge of tears a few nights ago, and just said, I can't do this. I am so overwhelmed by homeschooling. And you know what I'm talking about, right, moms? You sit down with your husband, you're like, I need just a couple minutes to ask you a couple questions, to run a couple things by you, and then you end up talking for 2 hours, and he never gets a word in because you are just unloading all of these burdens and stresses and anxieties to him. That is what happened. And my husband, bless him, has learned to be a really good listener and ask some really good questions to help me kind of process and think through things about our homeschool. And so I just shared with them how overwhelmed I felt with having to teach all of these subjects and not being able to use BJU distance learning much anymore this year. And so after I shared all of that with my husband, he just looked at me and he said, okay, if we had all the money in the world, what would you want to change in our homeschool with all of the kids? And I said, honestly, for the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th grade, I really feel like God allowed us not to have much money for homeschooling, to guide and direct us to the curriculum choices that we made for those grades. And while part of me is like, I can't wait to get back to a little bit more BJU Press distance learning so that I don't have to teach as much. I said, I'm actually kind of excited about what they're doing, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th grade. I'm pretty excited about that. I said, it is kindergarten that is like the straw that broke the camel's back. I said, when I think about the other grades, I'm excited about homeschooling. When I think about kindergarten, I literally stress out. And he said, okay, well, what do you think would be like ideal for kindergarten? And I said, I don't want to do Abeka. That is what's stressing me out. I just don't want to do it anymore. And I said, but we have it, and it just seems like such a waste. And he's like, that's not what we're talking about. What would be your ideal? And I said, well, I'd like to just go back to doing phonics and teaching reading and stuff the way I've taught it with all the other kids, and I'd really like to use the BJU Press K5 math for math. And I told them I really want to teach K-5 math myself, but I don't even know if I can do that because I'm already teaching so many other things. I already have to do phonics, reading with kindergartner and handwriting, and I got all these other things that I have to teach the older kids. I said, I think I really would just like BJU Press distance learning K-5 math so that our son can watch the videos and get the instruction, and that's one less thing that I have to do. And I said, but I know it's just not in our budget. It's just too expensive, and it would be such a waste not to use Abeka. And my husband, bless him, he just said, okay, he said, Janelle, the education of our children is a priority. It is a big priority. And he said, you know our children's academic needs better than anybody else. You know where they are at academically and what they need and the best way to help educate them. And he said, so I want you to be successful at educating our kids. And he said, the best way to be successful is to have the right tools. He said, I want you to be successful and not burnt out and stressed out. And he said, the best way to do that is to have the right tools. And he said, if you think that BJU Press distance learning K-5 math is going to be the best way to get our son the math education that he needs while keeping you sane and you not stressing out, he said, then that is what we need to do. And I said, I know, but we don't have the money, and that's such a waste of Abeka. And, of course, I'm like arguing and just thinking, no, we're going to be wasting money, and, And he just looked at me, he's like, I do not want a stressed out wife all year long. And I don't want you to not drop the ball, but not be able to educate the kids the way that you think is best. And so he said, we're going to do it. We will move money around. We will make it happen. We are going to get the BJU Press distance learning K-5 math for our son. Can I just tell you, when he said that, it was like this weight lifted off of me. Seriously, like that was the thing that just totally was breaking me and making me have such anxiety about our school year. And when he said that, the weight just lifted off of me, and I started getting super excited about the school year again. And I actually went into the classroom on our big whiteboard and started like mapping out like how would the day work if if my kindergartner's doing math, and who could I be helping with, and when this person's doing this, like just trying to see if the day would work, because my husband's like, well, go order it right now, like just go get it, go, we'll move money around, you just go purchase it right now. I'm like, I don't want to purchase it until I know that this is really going to help, right? And as I'm like looking at the schedule and looking at kind of like how this would all work together with 5 kids and all these different things I have to teach, I was getting so excited, like this is doable. I can do this. So I cannot even tell you what a relief, kind of what a weight has been lifted off of me because of these changes, and really just the kindergarten change. That was the thing that was really weighing heavy on me. So I'm so thankful for my husband for listening to me, thankful for his commitment to giving our kids a good education, which sometimes costs money. And also for his love for me and wanting me to stay sane and not be totally stressed out. So those are our curriculum changes. I am now super excited about our upcoming school year in a couple weeks, and really excited about kindergarten now. So wanted to share that with you and let you guys know that, hey, I've been homeschooling 15 years and I help people choose curriculum, but sometimes we truly need someone else's input. We need the Lord's through prayer, but our husbands can be such a great help in listening to us, knowing our strengths and our weaknesses, knowing our kids and just the family dynamic, and just being able to offer input and ask some really good questions. And even friends sometimes, other homeschool moms have so much input and help as we choose curriculum. So don't feel like you're a failure at as a homeschool mom just because you're like, I don't know what to do, I need to ask somebody else for help. Okay, we all need input from other people. So I hope this video was encouraging to you just to know that you're not alone if you're struggling in making curriculum choices. I'm right there with you. And now you'll know that to look forward to probably some Instagram posts and some YouTube video updates on how Fix-It Grammar and the BJU K-5 distance learning math is going for us.